Today's British voters go to the election, and the choice couldn't be more dramatic. They've got to choose whether to back Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his Conservatives and finally take Britain out of the European Union, make it more independent, or they can choose Jeremy Corbyn, who really is a full-on socialist whose Labor Party plans to nationalise all sorts of industries, ban even private schools, and spend, like Kevin Rudd, gone absolutely mad. Now, Corbyn is not a popular leader, but Boris Johnson, well, he can make people think he's either a genius or a buffoon. Now, the genius, I think, is you probably can see in his latest pro-Brexit ad, which is a parody of a scene from the 2003 hit movie Love Actually.
Enough. Enough. Let's get this done.
But then there's the bad Boris, which I'll explain after I'm joined by a freezing Sky News reporter and host of First Edition, Laura Jays, who's covering the campaign from Britain. Laura, thank you for joining me in the morning there. First of all, where exactly are you? I can't quite recognise the background.
Yes. No, we're not at Westminster. We're out of London. We're in a place called Bedfordshire. It's just north of London. And look, we are on our way to the Red Wall. There's a cluster of 15 to 20 seats that are traditional Labor seats. These are people that have voted Labor their whole lives. And if Boris Johnson is going to get a majority come Thursday, he needs to pick up some of these seats. And the reason that he can do that, they might be Labor, they might have very red blood, but they are also leavers, so they want to get Brexit done, as Boris Johnson would say. So this is just one of the pit stops on the way, Andrew.
Oh, nice pit stop. But what are the polls telling us about his chances on Thursday?
Well, the polls look pretty good. It shows that Boris Johnson is anywhere from 10 to 14 points ahead of Jeremy Corbyn. But I can tell you, insiders are still pretty nervous about the result. They're wargaming all kinds of scenarios. In this country, the polling is often wrong. And there are so many demographic, individual, localised issues. It's really hard to get a read on things. So that's why there is a bit of scepticism about it. Andrew, I know you'll be watching on Thursday night our time.
Certainly will.
The most accurate read on things will come with the exit poll at 10 p.m. when the polls close here in the UK. So the exit poll is usually the most accurate read on things. Yeah, look, it's really difficult to see. The Lib Dems aren't doing as well as first thought. They've kind of gone backwards in the campaigns. Nigel Farage's Brexit Party doesn't look like winning one seat at all. So what you need to keep an eye on is Scotland and really where we're heading today, and that is the Red Wall. And then really, really late, which will be about 4 a.m. my time, we'll start to see some of those results in London seats.
Now, as you say, the polls have come back a bit from the lead that he did have. And what complicates things, of course, is that it's first past the post there. You don't do preferences. And one thing, of course, that he wouldn't have wanted was the kind of bad headlines today that the bad Boris got when a reporter tried to show him a photo of a 4-year-old boy who had to lie on a hospital floor on a pile of coats while waiting for a hospital bed. Now, Johnson at first, a reporter tried to show him the picture, he wouldn't look at it, and then he put the reporter's phone in his own pocket. Here is the exchange.
This is the photo. This is the photo.
We need to be making investments now, and that's why we're putting £34 billion.
This is a 4-year-old boy, Prime Minister, suspected of pneumonia, forced to lie on the floor on a pile of coats.
I understand, and obviously we have every possible sympathy for everybody who has a bad experience in the NHS. So I have every sympathy with.
You refuse to look at the photo. You've taken my phone, put it in your pocket, Prime Minister. His mother says the NHS is in crisis. What's your response to that?
Well, I'm sorry. It's a terrible, terrible photo, and I apologise, obviously, to the family.
Gee, Laura, what exactly happened there? Is that kind of stuff going to hurt Johnson? Because it goes to the Corbyn message, which is spend, spend, spend on everything from hospitals to whatever goes through his mind.
Yeah, well, we'll get to Jeremy Corbyn's manifesto. I know you can't wait to get to that. It would be sweeping socialisation of the United Kingdom economy. But look, on Boris Johnson, look, I question the tactic of that particular journalist. And whether you know, like the tactic or not, it did hurt Boris Johnson, at least for a day. Will it hurt him in the long run? Well, only in the sense that he has to talk about other things. He had to talk about the NHS. The conversation shifted to that, and he just wants to talk about Brexit. There's a bit of Brexit fatigue around, as you can imagine. Brexhaustion, as Nigel Farage has dubbed it. But the fact is that until they sort that out, the government, whatever colour that might be, can't really concentrate on other things. That ad that you played, the Love Actually version, Boris Johnson's version of Love Actually, I think that's genius. Whether that resonates and has a bit of a social media kick on, who knows? But look, I don't know whether it'll hurt him or not. But it certainly derailed his Brexit message for a day, and it happened when he was in this red wall area, these Labor seats that he needs to pick up. And of course, health is very much a Labor issue, and very much an issue when you get out of London.
Now, look, Jeremy Corbyn really scares me, Laura, but maybe you will now reassure me. And it's not just because of that rampant anti-Semitism in his party and is cuddling up to radicals and terrorists for so extremely long. His spending alone adds up to $180 billion extra of promises, which is extraordinary. But can you take us through some of his policies?
Andrew, you'll find no comfort here, but let me take you through some of his manifesto. He wants to nationalise water. He wants to give everyone free broadband, everyone free education. He wants to usher in the 4-day work week. As you say, an extra £80 billion in spending every year. How is he going to pay for it? Well, in part in huge taxes on the rich, more taxes on corporation, and the list goes on. It's look, and it's almost unapologetic from him. He doesn't mind being called a socialist, saying, hearing that, that it is sweeping socialisation of the United Kingdom economy. He thinks that's working for him in some parts of the country. And Andrew, I've got to say, it is. You look at the polls consistently, it still shows that 30% of people, no matter what they think about Jeremy Corbyn, are still looking at voting Labor. So you've got to look at this and think, well, the Tories must be doing some soul searching. The popularity of Jeremy Corbyn, or at least the 30% of people that are going to vote Labor or intend to, that's got to be a bit of a failure on the Tory side of politics that have been in power here in a minority or majority government for the better part of 10 years.
Oh, I think that's right. But, maybe we should never underestimate the susceptibility of people promising you, particularly the poor, anything, a 4-day working week, free this, free that. We're going to nationalise the electricity, we're going to nationalise the water system, we're going to nationalise the rail system. I mean, it's just higher taxes on the rich, higher taxes on inheritance. It's just extraordinary. This is going back to Britain 1960, and I just wonder how the hell it's going to really work out. Laura Jays, I can't wait to see your coverage of election night on Thursday on Sky. All the best to you.